Hey everybody, this new episode is called Friday Fire. Thank you everybody for coming. And every Friday, stuff is on fire, both in a good and a bad way. And we're going to break it all down. This trip today, we'll be covering a whole bunch of topics, about 40 different topics in about 20 minutes. Everything from Brazil hedges to Bitcoin ETFs to hypes to money flows to macro to name changes to DEX volume and what else? Bond market and so much more. So let's jump in. And this one's called War Worries, War Jitters, because some of the gold action we are seeing right now is because, I've got to make sure this is still working, by the way, is because of war jitters. Things like gold and Bitcoin can sense things in the market. So we're going to break that down a little bit too. So thank you as well for coming. Thank you, Nick M. and the moderators in the chat and everybody else. So let's go. Disclaimer, this is not financial advice. And a shout out to Patreon who make this possible every single day. This is from Xavier Roy 5254 says, what an amazing channel and Patreon you created. You changed my life. Thank you so much. And so grateful that you're a part of the team. Let's talk about fear and greed. Fear is still here for Rectember, but Rectember hasn't turned out to be Rectember. We saw the initial dip, and as I was saying, there's too many tailwinds happening, and everything is kind of left shifted. So most of the damage was done in August, and it looks like that's the case because things are rebounding pretty fast. Let's talk about the ETFs first. So far, ETFs have been horrible, and shout out to TradFi who nailed the bottom, selling at the bottom. Over $500 million of ETFs was sold so far this month. But we did have two positive days, but still mostly negative. Vitruvian Maniac, thank you for coming too. So again, it's like, why? Of all the times to sell, I've shared maybe 400 charts. Don't sell at this level. And they do. Craziness. Anyhow, let's look at this real quick and then we get into all the other stories. Money flows back to positive. We have had 3 positive days so far. Very small. A lot of negative days. Still down $500 million. But I expect that to change. And miraculously, for 13 days now, BlackRock has bought nothing. Nothing. They sold twice, 2 little bits. Bought nothing. So their big buy is just mounting up at that market maker. Probably like a $250 million buy is probably coming tonight or next week. And yesterday, 653 Bitcoin were bought. That is nearly 1.5 times daily issuance. So not bad. And we plug along. But the key is, it's not just about the ETFs buying. There are other players. There's Mr. 100 and there's Tether and there's a whole bunch of others out there stacking like mad. Let's welcome in Mr. Saylor. And he bought the dip, got a really good price. Again, Michael Saylor continues to show the world what it means to be orange-pilled. And they executed another Bitcoin buy, increasing their total holdings to 244,800 Bitcoin. And that's over 1.1% of the total supply. And with each Bitcoin buy, MicroStrategy is claiming their slice of the digital scarcity pie and fortifying their balance sheet against perpetually devaluing fiat currencies. It really doesn't have to do anything. And right now, Michael Saylor is sitting on nearly $4.9 billion of gains. Borrows money at 0 interest rate, buys Bitcoin. Issues shares, buys Bitcoin. Borrows more money, buys Bitcoin. The infinite money glitch is working really well. Anyway, the crazy thing about this is, though, this is about half of the ATM they have allotted. $1.1 billion approximately. They have another 900 million to go. So again, he ain't done yet by no stretch. And the question I always get, and this is from our ArbCalc model, I shared the update of this on Patreon this morning. To get one whole coin, because we've been talking about Wholecoinership for a long time, you need 794 MicroStrategy shares. That would have been 79 shares before they did a 10-for-1 split. Now it's 794. So remember that as well. And there's nothing wrong with being a whole coiner, although I always vouch for pure form when possible. But still, yesterday, a lot of whole coiners were again denied having the pure form because it is a scarce asset. That is my fascination with it. There's only so much to go around. And once the big money comes, boom, it's going to go fast. So we'll see. It's been a weird summer so far. And another perspective from HODL 15, this basically shows you how the ETFs, just 9 American Bitcoin ETFs, again, 4% of the population of the planet, have eaten up 1.78 times the issuance since inception. That is 161,945 Bitcoin were mined since inception, and the US ETFs bought 287,000. That's it. It's 1.78 times. Again, wait till this stuff really catches on. I think everybody was checked out over the summer. As you can see here by this chart, not a lot of action. This chart, not a lot of action. But I thought we were beginning the big third accumulation phase. That fizzled out pretty fast, but I think it's going to come back, especially when price comes back. Price is the best advertising for this puppy. And right now, I have a feeling we could break $60,000 on this stream. Let me check the price right now. Oh, we did. $60,025 a minute ago while I was talking to you all. I was distracted. Anyway, 60 grand. We have a long way to go back to all-time highs, but the rebound has been tremendous, up from 55K. So let's get into some other news too as well. Shout out to all our friends. Oi, tá bom? Down in Brazil. Sorry about everything happening with freedom of speech down there, but this is a cool little chart from Block Trends, and it shows you that Bitcoin is the best asset to protect against Brazil's 13 to 15% yearly currency depreciation. Notice I always talk about 14% debasement. Brazil is 13%. It's probably actually a lot higher. But you can see here, Brazil loses 13% of its value each year, probably a lot more in real terms. And he warns that without assets earning interest or salary growth exceeding this rate, this is what I call the hurdle rate. This is the magical 14% I've been preaching for years. Shout out to, I forget his name. The inspiration for that anyway. It'll come to me in a minute. But if you are not making more than 14%, you're not treading water. And Bitcoin is a hedge that can offset this depreciation. So you are not losing money every year. That's the genius. Back to Michael Saylor. Borrows fiat, buys Bitcoin. You know fiat's going down. You know Bitcoin's going up. Don't overthink it. It's not hard, everybody. Anyway, hope everybody's doing okay in Brazil. And a little bit of Bitcoin mining news too. This is from Blockware, and it looks at some very interesting projections up to $150,000 Bitcoin. But it shows you, let me try to break down these colors for you real quick. S19, XP is red, M66 is orange, S21 is blue, S21 Pro is green. You want to get the green if you can. And assuming electricity cost of 7.8 cents per kilowatt hour, this shows you how much money you can make a month from a rig per different Bitcoin prices. So for example, let me try to zoom into this, make sure I don't screw up the numbers. If you have the S21 Pro, you can make $300 a month per rig if Bitcoin goes to 150 grand. If it only goes to 100 grand, you're still making over $200. So a little bit of perspective there. And of course, it's linear as well as we go forward. So shout out to all the miners out there. Now, the other thing that's really fascinating, which happened over the last 24 hours, is this, what I call the 50 Bip Flip. I like things that rhyme. And yesterday, this was in the teens, i.e. the teens, the probability of a 50 basis point cut was like 16% yesterday. All of a sudden, it shot up to 45%. What's going on? And remember, the bond market can always sniff out the problem. That takes us to the bond market. And this is a cool, beautiful chart as well from Game of Trades. This chart illustrates the historical trend of U.S. Treasury bond futures from 1977 till today, and a little bit of a forecast beyond today. The red dot is where it ends today, but this is it shows a long upward trend until 2022. That's when we came out of the ZIRP, the zero interest rate environment. And since then, there's been a significant decline. And this chart highlights a break below the long-standing support line, indicating a potential shift in market dynamics. And why do we care? Because we care about Bitcoin. There is always an inverse correlation with bond yields. So Bitcoin's price has shown an inverse correlation with the US real bond yields. And when bond yields rise, Bitcoin prices tend to fall and vice versa. So what are the people going to do when they hold bonds and they see, my bond yield sucks? They're going to sniff out Bitcoin. And that is the whole risk asset dynamic we have here. Again, as bond yields increase, investors may prefer safer returns from bonds over risky assets like Bitcoin, etc. And the market sentiment, how this is all changing, is the break in the trend line could signal broader economic concerns, inflation, fiscal instability, fiscal irresponsibility, growing debt, etc. And now, once the penny drops for investors who are kind of in the TradFi world, who don't understand how bad things are, they will start seeking out Bitcoin as a hedge against the traditional financial system risks. Once that penny drops, it will be fast. As I say, risk happens fast. Real simple. It's going to pop. And Michael Saylor knows this. Elon Musk knows this. Anybody with a calculator can figure it out. The debt is unsustainable. Okay? $3.5 billion in interest a day. A day. 2 gigafactories. 2 of the biggest factories in the world being built. The cost per day with the interest that's been spent. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's not sustainable. The only way they can sustain it is to print a ton of money to pay that interest and all the other things that they have to pay for too. Now, back to the big story of today. There is an underlying little bit of concern, and I don't want to be alarmist. I just share facts. But this is one of the things that's actually driving up the price of gold. And because the Russian ambassador to the United Nations, his name is Vasily Nebenzia, he warned NATO member states on Friday that they will be at direct war with Russia if they authorize Ukraine to use long-range weapons. In this case, we will, of course, be forced to make the appropriate decision with all the ensuing consequences for the Western aggressors. Our Western colleagues will no longer be able to shirk responsibility and shift all the blame onto Kiev. And he told this to the UN Security Council. So basically, don't mess with us. Push us into a corner. We will fire back, and we could be on the verge of global thermonuclear war, which I know there may only be a 1% chance or 5% chance of happening, but that is enough risk for us to all be worried about. And that's part of what you see out there as well. Sadly, I don't know if anybody is in control right now, like heads of certain countries, if they even know what's going on. It is deeply alarming and concerning we are in this stage, and there's no peacemakers out there because these neocons like war. They like endless wars because that pays for the MIC, the military-industrial complex. So I hope I won't be, what have I got to call, banned again, shadow banned for sharing all these truths. But this is a real concern. And shout out to Noel as well. Gold continues to climb on war jitters. Not just gold, but also, I've been saying it for weeks. I said, what's going on? Bitcoin is lagging gold. When's it going to catch up? Well, another reason apart from dollar weakness and US deficits is why gold continues to climb. The risk of military escalation in Europe is arguably higher now than at any time since Russia invaded Ukraine. The temperatures are rising, and Zelensky has been begging the US and the UK for authorization to aim donated missiles, which they have, at targets within Russia. A move that Russia has repeatedly said it would signal a new phase of the war. This is serious. I don't want to alarm people, but I hope cooler heads prevail because Putin has nothing to lose. Okay, so be careful. And I shared this yesterday, but another reminder of why we Bitcoin. This is what we call BTC GMA, the global monetary alternative. All right, both gold and Bitcoin are often viewed as safe haven assets during times of uncertainty, and investors seek out these assets to protect their wealth when traditional markets become volatile or unstable, or maybe about to blow each other up. Who knows? Again, not to be alarmist, just sharing what's going on. And that leads me to a theory I had over nearly 3 months ago, Wag the Dog. This is a 1997 political satire comedy produced and directed by, I think it was Barry Levinson in Maryland, I'm not sure. And I think it's Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro. But the film centers on a spin doctor and a Hollywood producer who fabricates a war in Albania to distract voters from a presidential scandal. I hope there is no Wag the Dog. And I'm always trying to piece the little pieces together in the back of my head as to how the big players are playing this game. So you heard it here 3 months ago and again today. Hope I'm wrong. Now, back to crypto. Stablecoins. This is from Nick Carter. Get well soon. Hope your back is okay, buddy. Crypto dollarization has arrived. Stablecoins are boosting US dollar dominance around the world in countries that otherwise have no access to the currency. And this is also according to a new report by Visa, I think it was. And it's from Castle Island Ventures, if I recall. But the key thing to take away here is not only are stablecoins being adopted hand over fist all over the world. I spoke about Singapore doubling quarter over quarter, and many other countries. Stablecoins, crypto adoption is exploding everywhere at the same time. It's what we've been waiting for, the path to 1 billion users. We're on the cusp, ladies and gentlemen. But the cool thing about this chart that blew me away is US dollars, 98.97% of all stablecoin supply share peg. Gold, 0.62, and the euro, 0.38. So the rest is kind of crumbs. It's still dollars. And if the US wants to embrace the strength of the dollar and dollar hegemony, which is a bad thing, of course, but they should really embrace crypto and not fight it. It's right there. That's the answer. Anywho, Coinbase, speaking of, back to Bitcoin. And remember, I always say pure form, which means nothing wrapped or whatever else. But Coinbase did launch a thing called CB, BTC. CB is for Coinbase, Bitcoin. It's a wrapped version of Bitcoin. And it surged to $100 million in value within 24 hours. And this is defying criticism from Justin Sun. Justin Sun is the founder of Tron. And he has his own wrapped product as well. And Justin Sun argues that CBDC could face government interference with the possibility of freezing balances via legal orders, which he believes could undermine decentralization. Fair point. Fair point. We'll see. Anyway, back to the news. A little bit of ETH news too, which is super interesting. Way back in March of this year, I think it was March or April. Time goes so fast, I don't recall exactly. But there was a strategic decision for Ethereum and Vitalik, and the strategy was to no longer focus on scaling layer ones. Keep it at that 15 TPS and focus all effort to scaling to the L2s. Well, guess what just changed? Vitalik came out today, and now he's a little bit worried. He's concerned that some of these L2s are very shaky, not of good quality. He said things like, I think it was Arbitrum and Optimism are good. Everything else is trash. That was kind of Vitalik's way of saying it. And a shout out to Louis Philippe as well. And I think Vitalik is admitting he has been kind of naive in promoting centralized and unfinished L2s and seeing no progress or even steps to make them more decentralized. And that's the funny thing. It's as if, refresh this again, 6 months ago, whatever, it's like, okay, L1, no more investment. We'll focus all on scaling the L2s to help the chain. Fast forward, L2s are bad except for 2. And one new L2 is launching every 19 days, which is stunning. They are cannibalizing each other. So, and now Vitalik is peed off and he wants more decentralization. And maybe he'll revert back to trying to scale the L1. Who knows? Anyway, I thought it was interesting to share. Also, speaking of L2s, MATIC is now the new POL. Polygon's POL token was just introduced, and it's the new name for MATIC with some tokenomic changes. I don't dig into it because I don't own L2s for obvious reasons. Haven't for years. I think the last one I did own was actually MATIC back in 2021. Anywho, that's the L2 news. Sadly as well, the ETH ETF is still not gaining any traction, still no demand, still negative days every day. So for all the ETH maxis that were hoping it would be, yes, ETH ETF, we're going to the moon. Yeah, no. Grayscale Ethereum Trust is continuing to bleed out just like Grayscale Bitcoin Trust did. And that's just the nature of it. And they're releasing new products. They have a new trust for XRP and for SUI, I think. Remember with these products, the accredited investors get to buy in early, close to face value. Then they jack the price of the so-called share, and then they dump it on retail. Do not touch these things, everybody. Do not touch them. Mentioned many times before, but just a quick reminder as well. Also, I made a typo. DeFi Waking Up. That should be Sol. DeFi Waking Up. From Gumshoe, Solana DeFi is waking up. Drift, Camino, and other Solana DeFi tokens are leading the market with a stagnant Sol. Q4 will be glorious. Start positioning before others do it. And in full disclosure, I do own some Jupiter and Radium and a few others. But I wish I had more Jupiter, by the way. I nearly bought some the other day, but I thought Solana will be a faster horse. And right now, they're still neck and neck. Let's check in on the Solana price right now, too, because it is moving up the charts as well. Like everything else, everything is green today. It's amazing. Solana is now $138, and literally it was 131 this morning. That's a big move. Again, risk happens fast. But let's get into a couple of things. This is a cool piece of news as well. From House of Crypto, they believe that by August, and again, this is a hopium shot here, everybody. I'm not saying Solana's going to 920. You know my price target for Sol, not 920. But we can always dream. But this is House of Crypto thesis. They believe that Bitcoin could easily rise 12 months from now to August 2025 to go to 175,000. Many people believe that, actually. And that's an increase of more than 300% from its present price. But should that occur, Bitcoin's market cap will be 3.4 trillion, therefore confirming its supremacy at 57% of the total market. But this kind of increase would cause a knock-on consequence, drawing up other assets. As I say, as the CMC goes up, it floats all boats. The Sol market cap is currently 62.5 billion. If Bitcoin goes to 175K, this would take the Sol market cap to 432 billion. And therefore, the price would go to $920 per Sol. We would have a lot of happy people if that happens. Even a third of that would be magnificent. Again, considering where most of our things happen. But what's happening in the underbelly of this crazy chain? And there's a lot of FUD out there. There's a lot of FUD about, FTX is a huge unlock. I've been hearing nothing but FTX unlocks for years. For years. And yes, they have $1 billion. The market cap is about 68 billion. So it's like 1/70th of the market cap. And even if they were going to dump it, they do it very cleverly. And most of that stuff I thought was committed to lockups anyway, where they've sold parts. So again, when you have something that has an unlock that's 1/70th of the total, yes, it'll hurt a little bit, but given the volumes, it can be digested pretty easily. So don't panic, everybody. Stay cool, stay relaxed. All right, let's talk about some layer 1s, layer 2s, the top chains. Crypto, daily active users, Solana still leads. They did hit 5.6 million the other day. Now they're currently at 5 million flat. Near protocols at 3.1 million, Tron 2 million, Base 1.4 million, Sui 1.1 million. Again, Solana is still the king out there. And for some reason, Cardano stopped reporting on our data feed. Not sure why. Anyway, they were about 20,000 daily active users last time I checked. But that is stunning. And there's a lot of stuff happening. What's driving all of this usage? And the first thing you'll hear from the fudders and the haters, it's all bots, it's all bots. No, it's all DEX traders. It's all DEX traders in Solana. These are all the chains, all the users, and they're all doing all their stuff on Solana. Nowhere else. I think number 2 is, I can't remember what that purple is. I'll have to look it up. I think it's Base is number 2. I'm not sure. But it's all the actions happening on Solana. And then they say, but it's all bots. No, it's not. This is from Ilemi. You can see here, nearly all DEX traders are people, not bots. In fact, the number of bots have actually fallen dramatically since June of this year, down to almost 0. So yeah, another piece of FUD bites the dust. And I don't know, it's like the temperatures are rising. People are getting desperate right now. We are more than halfway through the bull market, and those bag holders of things that haven't moved yet are getting really upset, and they're trying to take down other projects so they can boost their own or try retain people to hold on to dead bags. Do not hold on to dead bags. Old technology is dead. Bad tokenomic projects are going to suffer, not do as well as winners. Follow the money, follow the adoption, look at the good tokenomics plays, etc. Also, DEX volume. Radium and Jupiter handle most of it. That's 95% of it is handled by those two players too. Both things that I coincidentally own as well. Again, winner takes most in the universe, as you've heard here 1,000 times. So let's get off of crypto. Let's talk about something really exciting too. This is the Cybercab is running around in the wild. It has been heavily camouflaged during testing around Los Angeles, Burbank, Warner Brothers Studios, etc. And now it looks like it's covered in a huge, heavy yellow plastic bin liner. They don't want to give anything away right now. But a couple of things that are really interesting about this is, one, when you look inside the window, there is no steering wheel. Ta-da! And that's per the plan. And it looks like maybe this robotaxi with no steering wheel, no pedals, will be running around on 1010 because it was running around last night already. At least it was spotted in a big yellow plastic bag. And it is called a Cybercab, which tells me, my gut, that it'll have something like the look and image of a Cybertruck with that stainless steel exterior. Well, we shall see. And another fun news too, shout out to people who are hard of hearing. This is really good news. There is FDA approval for AirPods from Apple to be used as hearing aids. So very proud to see that happening too. Yet another cool alternative. I never actually thought of that use case, but it's awesome. And the most alarming report since 2020. Again, I'll always share the good, the bad, and the ugly, but this is one of the things I'm worried about is younger Americans report more cognitive disability. This is what RFK has been talking about for years. And there's been a massive increase in rates of cognitive disability since 2020. Now, I'm working on what we can do to reverse this, whether it's a combination of nutrition or other therapies, talking to some people as to how we can make this better. So stay tuned for more on that, but be careful, everybody. And this is, again, a very alarming piece of statistic here as well. And another kind of bad news from the Financial Times, the European Central Bank forecasts lower growth and higher inflation out to 2026. And as usual, with most government statistics, they always get pared down over time. But you don't want lower growth and higher inflation, aka stagflation, aka kiss of death. Be careful out there, everybody. And I think this is close to being the final piece of good news. China is printing. Big time from Marty Party, friend of the channel, DCA member. The actual amount of money printing year over year has grown by 6.3%, expected 6.2%. The year isn't even over yet, and the money supply has gone up by that much. Again, global liquidity is going to break 100 trillion real soon, and your fiat's going to be debased fast, and that's going to float all boats, including Bitcoin. So that's the story today. Happy Friday. Friday Fire. Sorry, it's a very mixed, some scary stuff, some worrying stuff, but lots of good stuff too. And that's just the way the world works. The cookie crumbles. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you to nearly 4,000 people watching live, and Sean Donnelly and TNT Tesla and K8. You all take care of yourselves. I'll be back tomorrow with the weekend recap. Try sum all the stuff up that is key that you may have missed. And let's check in on Bitcoin. See if we've got above 60K. No, we got rejected off 60K, which is common. You got to tap that glass a few times before you break through. But the alts are running much faster. Thank you. And so is MicroStrategy too. Great day. And the miners are all back as well. We're going to make it happen. Q4 is happening early in September. Yeah, Q4 technically doesn't begin until October 1st, but we are 17 days away. Thanks all for coming. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.